What's going on, guys? I want to show you guys the number one ICT concept to learn, whether you're beginner, advanced, whatever. This is a very simple concept, and once you get this down, this is a monumental change to your trading. This is what actually made me become profitable, and I've made an entire model, which I now trade off of and have passed many funded accounts, taken many payouts from this one concept, and it is smoothness versus jaggedness. So what does this mean? How do we find smoothness when obviously charts go up and down? What this means is, for example, we look right here, and here, let me get my paintbrush super quickly. I might actually star that. This is smoothness. This is very flat price action. There's not a whole lot of jaggedness. What is jaggedness now? And I can show you guys plenty of examples of both of this. This right here is jagged, okay? We see this like little jagged low right there, jagged low right there, jagged low right there. If we zoom out, you can kind of see these jagged lows versus that smooth price action that I previously showed you. And we can see many more examples of this. Two jagged lows right here, jagged low right here, smoother price action above. This isn't the smoothest, but you can kind of see where I'm getting at. And how can we create a model off of this, and how do we trade off of this? Now, I want to show you guys how I trade off of this and how you guys can use this to your advantage and benefit towards making a profitable strategy, okay? Now, sorry, I'm going to do this right now, but all right, so yeah, I want to show you guys how I use this and how you guys can use it. So typically what you want to look for, instead of just perfectly flat price action like what I was showing you, where it maybe looks like this, where it's very flat, you zoom out, and it's just not a whole lot of volatility. Typically, you're going to see this forming during Asia session. Now, this is what you want to look for, but there's something more specific you want to look for, and that is relative equal highs. So what I mean by this, sorry, that message is going to continue popping up, but that's just Top Step X. What you typically want to look for is this flat price action that has this pattern of highs that go lower or lows that go higher, right? It's many highs in succession and proximity of one another, okay? And then maybe New York session's about to come up. You see it dropping a little bit, and then New York session opens here, for example. Okay, and what we can see here is, like I said, this is very smooth price action, not a whole lot of volatility. Like I said, this is going to be forming mostly during Asia session, but what you can also tell is that there's a lot of relative equal highs here. Now, these relative equal highs is what's creating liquidity, aka people's orders. People are putting stop limits here. People are putting plenty of buys here. The market wants to come up and sweep all of that liquidity out. So we can use this towards our advantage, towards putting our take profit here, okay? Now, I love to use this right as New York session opens, okay? Now, obviously, anyone that knows my model and my Discord, you guys know that I like to look for a little Judah swing, which is like a little like fake out, another ICT concept. You'll see market opens, typically it'll fake out, and then you can catch the entire giant move of 100, 200 handles all the way up to those relative equal highs. And typically, when I'm setting up my trade, I'll put my stop loss. It kind of depends on where the chart is, but I'll end up putting my stop loss usually at the low. And my take profit will always go to the initial high or the closest high to my entry. The reason being is because a lot of times it doesn't end up reaching the very high of all the highs in proximity of one another. But this is by far the most powerful ICT concept that I've ever learned. And like I said, this is what truly made me profitable. Without this, I wouldn't be profitable. Without this, I wouldn't have a model. Without this, I wouldn't have a 900-man Discord. I would have nothing. This is what made me profitable. And I want to show you guys some examples of this as well. I also have plenty of trades that I will be going through in this video. Let me see, trade analysis, which you can see. My entire model, like I said, is built off of these trades, so I will be gladly going through those soon. First, I want to show you guys, obviously, the inverse, which I'm just going to go through super quickly. It's just going to look like this. It's just going to be ascending price action with lows that get lower than one another. Now, something I want to exaggerate here is that any sort of low that comes down and sweeps many lows, these prior lows are no longer considered. This liquidity has been swept. The liquidity is absorbed. It is no longer there. It is gone. So we can consider this high, and we can, or sorry, this low and this prior low and this low. So this is still relative equal lows, and I would still consider this smooth price action, but this is not near as good as something like this, where there isn't a high that comes up and sweeps the rest, right? There's the more highs you see in proximity and succession of one another, the stronger your bias should be towards those targets. okay? And typically on the opposite end, you'll see price action coming down and making very jagged lows, almost always. If there's ever smooth price action, 90% of the time there's going to be jaggedness on the opposite end. And like I said, I love to take these trades right as market opens. You wait for that little London fake out or Judah swing, and then it'll usually start ascending or descending towards that target that you're aiming for. All right. So now we can go through some market examples. We're going to be looking for these live, and I started off here because this is a very good example. I believe I took this trade, and I can actually check back. What day is this? November 14th. We can see. I'm positive I took this. I mean, this is quite literally everything that's in my model, but you can see right up here, we have all this very flat price action. Like I said, that was built in Asia session, and a lot of these highs have been swept, but a lot of these highs are still here. And if we start counting these highs, you can start getting the little highs right here too. High right there, high right there, high right here, high right here. So 4 highs that line up right near each other up there. Now this high should actually be a little bit above there. And on top of that, we look at the opposite end. What do we see? We see jaggedness, sharp low, sharp low, sharp low, sharp low, sharp low. Okay, so we see this jaggedness on the opposite end. So what happens? As market opens, 8:30 right here is my market open. I live in Central Time. You can see, like I said, that little fake out, and then market moves in its intended direction the rest of the day, right? So preceding all this, like I said, Asia session, smooth price action, relative equal highs, and then we aim for that after seeing that fake out. Okay. Now we can actually look for more of these live before I get into the what I was going to show you guys earlier, before we get into my actual trades. So yeah, let me look for another example here. Now this doesn't appear too often. My model, I take trades about twice a week, so it sounds a little boring, and it can be a little boring, but you guys have to realize that patience is what makes profitability. Okay, the second you guys start rushing this shit is when you blow your accounts. Okay, so here I just found another one. So this was a few days after. What do we see right here? So market opens 8:30, and I can actually mark this out for us. I'll zoom in a second, but 8:30 market opens. What do we see back here? Okay, now this may be jagged, but prior to that, we see this smoothness. Okay, and on top of that, relative equal high after relative equal high. So we have this high lines up with these previous highs. There's like 2 right there, lining up with this high right there. There's a little high right above that. I should probably zoom in here. Lining up with this high. So we see multiple highs all lining up with one another. You could even consider some of these highs. Maybe they'll see 3 highs right here, right next to each other. For the sake of the video, I'll mark these all out. So yeah, we see a lot of these highs, a lot of this smoother price action versus, let's look at the lows. Jagged low, jagged low, jagged low. You can see maybe some smoothness right here, but like I said, these lows have all been swept. This liquidity is absorbed. It is gone. This low has swept all of that, so we don't even consider that. So everything we do consider is jagged. You can see even later on in the day, we see the same thing. But what do we see at market open? We see quite literally what I was talking about. Fakes out, has its little Judah swing, fakes all the traders out, and then moves in its intended direction the following rest of the day. I mean, how many handles is this? This is a decently big trade. This is a 200 handle trade. So I probably banked like a $3,000 trade by just being patient and waiting for this setup. Obviously, I teach this model on my Discord, so you can feel free to reach out to me, and I do have a course that I sell. Obviously, I'm not trying to sell the course this video. I just want to teach a little bit. But no, this is one of the best concepts I've seen ICT talk about, which he doesn't talk about often, but this is a concept that I have an entire model that runs off of that he like mentioned super quickly and just didn't even go over much. And I, looked into this. This is insane. It is phenomenal. So I want to show you guys some other trades. So, and I can actually go to I record all my trades here as well. I record them in my Discord. I'm very public about my losses as well. I'm very transparent about that, which anyone in my Discord knows I am. But yeah, we can go down. I took 2 losses in a row recently. This was October price action, which, like I said, being very transparent, I took a lot of losses then. But before October and November price action was phenomenal. So phenomenal November price action. Obviously, I have a way bigger take profit than stop loss, so 4 take profits and 3 stop losses is great for me. You see all these take profits here. For the sake of the images, I'm just going to be going through here super quickly. But yeah, you can see right here, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Prior to this image, there's a lot more highs right before this that you can't really see off screen. But you can kind of see the same thing, jagged low. You can see the fake out. We come up towards those highs. I really want to find some short examples, which I'll get into. I don't know why all these are longs, but you can see right here, all these highs line up with one another. Asia session, low volatility price action forms many highs in succession and proximity of one another. Same thing here. 8:30 market opens, it dumps a little bit, and then it comes up and sweeps out those highs, and we catch that trade. Same thing here. Relative equal highs are off screen, sadly, but same thing there. This is an example of a loss, which, by the way, after this loss, like 10 minutes after, it came down and dumped. I can tell you which day. This is on the 10th, which, if you want to verify what I'm saying, it did end up dumping right after that and sweeping all those lows. So I may have not caught the move, but I did have the correct bias. Trying to find some with the relative equal highs on the screen here. Most are off screen for this one as well, but you can also see this may not be smooth price action, but relative equal highs were strong enough for me to take the trade. And you can see market open 8:30, we dump, and then we come up for the rest of the day. I'm trying to find some short examples. Most of these are longs. This was October price action. I struggled heavily during that. Another long example. Most of those highs are off screen as well. Another long example. You can see maybe not the smoothest price action, but a lot of relative equal highs. But it's essentially the same few things every day that you're looking for. Here's a short example with no relative equal lows on screen, sadly. Okay, here we go. Here's a short example. Sadly, this trade stopped out as well. But this is essentially what you're looking for, is all these relative equal lows right next to each other, smooth and flat price action. And it's a very simple concept. It's not too hard to learn. We see it here once again, all these highs. This looks like these aren't near each other. This chart's very stretched, as you can see, so these were actually very close to each other. But this is a very, very large trade that I caught. Right here, once again, high, 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 high. All these highs right next to each other. I aimed for it. You can see market open 8:30. We dumped, and then we came all the way up and caught those highs. Highs are off screen there. Lows are off screen there. Here we go. Low, 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 and then I think we might have had some prior to that. But same thing here. 8:30 is right here. We come up a little bit for 8:30. I'm waiting for my entry. Take it. A little bit of drawdown during that, but of course the bias was correct. We eventually end up reaching those lows. Same thing here. Low, 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 low. All this smooth price action down here. Now look at the top. This is what I was talking about. If we look at this top here, jagged high, jagged high, jagged high. These very shark teeth highs versus this very smooth price action down here. I believe this is the biggest trade I've ever caught. That was an awesome one. I took 2 take profits there. So I didn't catch this entire move with all my contracts, but I did catch it all the way up until here, and then I left some runners to there. So still biggest trade I've ever caught. Same thing here. This may not be the smoothest price action. It's actually decently smooth, but you can see low, 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 low. All these lows line up with one another. Same thing there. Where does market open? 8:30. Very, very choppy price action, but it is essentially the same thing. We came up, we swept some highs, fake out people, and go back down. Once again, this will be the last one I'll go over. I know I've gone through a lot of these, but I just wanted you guys to get a clear idea, an example of what you guys should be looking for and avidly, trying to spot throughout the markets. And once you guys kind of get the hang of this, it will be very beneficial towards finding bias and determining where market wants to go for the remainder of the day. So I thought it'd be very beneficial for you guys to know this. This is knowledge that I have. So yeah, you can see low, 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 smooth price action, more jagged mountain peak highs. And of course, market opens. You can see the fake out up here, the manipulation, and then it comes down here. So it's essentially, anyone that trades ICT, this is essentially the PO3 model. You're looking for the AMD. It's your accumulation, manipulation, distribution. It's sort of like that, and I built a model that's very similar to that. But yeah, I mean, I've shown very, very good success with this, and I've absolutely excelled within the markets. And yeah, I thought I'd teach you guys this. So Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section below or in the Discord. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two, and I will see you guys next video.